Hello everyone, welcome back to ANI201. In the last video we wound up making this little printer and it wound up popping in the little printer paper. So here is where our project looks like thus far. If you do not have these little colored squares and the printing perfection and the pages printing out, then go back to a previous video. Now with that being said, in this video what we're going to go over is we're going to go over the little ink splatters that appear. And like that. So let me just go with this part right here. It's quick, but the splats happen right behind it, and it's right over there as well. So we're going to go and use the ink splatters. So let's go in here. So we're going to go through animate ink splatter down to ink on the main composition, and maybe I can do the text in this one as well. I'll see if I can do that, or if the text is going to be a fifth video, but the fifth video will be much shorter then. So animate the ink splatter. So create a new comp that's the name size of the ink image by dragging it into the new comp button. Okay, so basically I've got this in my images folder because I downloaded my ink splatter. If I go and put in the ink splatter and double click it, there we go. Here's my ink splatter. Now if I were to go into composition, new composition, one moment, I have forgotten where this button is. It's a great way to start this video. So if I were to go here, right-click this guy, I'll just right-click and say New Comp from Selection, because I forgot where the button is, but I know New Comp from Selection if I just right-click this. There we go. So now I have myself a new composition. It's literally called Ink Splatter 051. There's my ink splat composition. And since it's a pre-comp, I'll just move it into my pre-comps right there. Boom! There's my ink splat composition right there. Matter of fact, let me composition settings. Let me change you ink splat comp, because I like to name all my compositions with comp at the end. Boom! There we go. I now have myself my ink splat composition. It's a good thing there's like 4 or 5 ways to do everything in After Effects, because if you forget one, there's other ways to do it. So, couldn't find the button, you can always right-click and, say, replace with pre-comp. I've already used that one time, but there we go. So, we've got myself my ink splatter. The ink splatter is literally the size of the pre-comp. So what I'm going to do is I'm then going to go into my effects, and I'm going to wind up grabbing, I want to say fill. Is it fill? No, not fill yet. It's keying effect extract. Okay, so I want to go keying effect extract. Go and click, boop. So this guy has an extract, and there it is over in the left-hand side, my effects control panel. I'm going to stay on my luminosity. My black point is going to be at 0. If I move my black point, I'm determining where black begins. If I move my white point, I'm going to determine where white begins. So basically, what I have done right here-ish is basically said, yeah, this and all this is my available color, that black and black area. So the only things that are black are the things that are going to be, well, let's just sort of flood that out a bit because I'm seeing pixelation down here. So maybe do some softness. Some black softness. Nah. You got pixelated quite quickly. How did you do that? Reset. Okay, no, it's just a little pixelated today for some reason. Odd. Red? Nope. If I go to just luminance, go to alpha? Nope. Weird. But point being, that's our black is the only thing we want. We want to extract only the black. And I'm just going to have to deal with that pixelation for some reason. That wasn't happening yesterday. I'm imagining it's just a situation of recording the video while also doing this, but that's all right. Make sure the histogram is fully visible. Click on the top right corner, drag it left until the black pixels are only visible. So top right, yeah, top right one, which is essentially the white softness. You can do that, boop, 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 like that. But we really specifically only want the black. So there we go. And make sure it's visible. Create the organic shape tool with the pen tool. Go into mask settings. So basically, if I just make a mask here and just grab something kind of smallish, beep, beep, you know, beep, bloop, bloop. There we go. There's essentially my mask. My mask is that little tiny bloop shape. And then what I'm going to do to my mask is I'm going to go into the mask and I'm going to grab the mask expansion. And I'm going to keyframe this. So I'm going to keyframe my mask expansion, which at the start is going to be something negative because it's just going to sploop into existence. And then, let's see here, how many frames does it want it to be? 10 frames? 10 frames, okay. So 10 frames in, boop, 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 boop. And 10 frames in, the mask expansion is going to expand for the entire splatter. And there we go. So now we'll have this little effect of bloop. And it looks like it kind of hit and splattered and spread out. And that's how that little ink splatter effect works. We could also have done the same thing with a circle, because that's kind of essentially what it eventually became. If I was really, really finicky, as I was moving this out, I'd also be changing the mask path and moving where each of these guys splatter so that it doesn't pop out in a radius. It would pop out in different various ways. So it's like, you know, maybe here's the mask path right there. And then the mask path, say, around here is actually, you know, grab. I would have to literally edit the shape. And I'd have to constantly change individually which dot it is I want, which will be very time consuming. And basically, instead of having it be this same shape the entire time, make the shape itself be changing and moving like it's kind of like the blood down the gun barrel sequence of a James Bond movie, if you know what I mean. So, but that's where it is. That's where it's going to be for right now. Because, you know, obviously I think this video has been taking long enough as is. So, got myself my splatter. Gonna go back to my main composition. Gonna go back to my main composition over here. Let me get my ink splatter on. Boop, put this guy behind my printer. Because there's where my ink splatter is gonna be. And ink splatter is gonna be much smaller than that. There we go. So let's see here. We're gonna splat, and maybe I'll move it right there. Why not? That's gonna be one ink splatter. And that ink splatter is not gonna be black. It's gonna be some other color. So go into the original timeline, generate effects fill. That's where fill is. So generate effects fill. Gonna grab that on my ink splatter. Boop. And that now it's a red ink splatter. But you know what? I'm gonna make it a nice green. I'm gonna make it a tealish green. There we go, like a teal color. And I could change the opacity, but fill mask, there's no mask here. Let me just go into the mode and let me switch the mode to screen. There we go. Actually, no, let me switch it to overlay. There we go. I can still see the background of the grid there if I want to. But let me also opacity, let me just change the opacity to smidge. We make it 50-ish. Yeah, that looks not bad. That doesn't look bad. I can still see the background there. I can see transition effect a little bit. Also got rid of a little bit of the pixelation. It's harder to see there. So there we go. And let's start with the timer blend in. Okay, cool. So basically, boop, 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 boop. There we go. And move it to where I want to be. So basically, where do I want this guy to print in? Because right now it pops in, boop, right at the start. So let me have this guy print in right where my printer starts to be. So once I first see my printer, so right there on that layer, that ink splatter. By the way, let me lock my printer layer so I don't accidentally click it. Let me just do an option, boop. There we go. Oh, one moment. Excuse me. Why did you? Okay, fine. I'll do this. There we go. So I've got myself an ink splatter. And of course, let me just do and duplicate that. Duplicate, duplicate, and duplicate. Give myself a couple of other ink splatters. Let me move an ink splatter over here. Maybe move an ink splatter over here. Maybe move an ink splatter over here. There we go. I've got myself a couple of ink splatters. Now, obviously, they're all the same ink splatter. So let me go and rotate this guy around a bit. Boop-a-da-boop, boop. And maybe also, by the way, let me hide that layer just so I don't see it right now. Hiding is the little eyeball thing. And let me change that guy's fill color. Maybe this guy is a bit of a... Yeah, there we go. So let me move that guy over there and let me scale it differently. Boop-a-da-boop, boop. And let me go and position it. Boop-a-da-boop, boop. Boop-a-da-boop, boop. Yeah, there we go. And for this guy, let's go and make this guy. Change it to, you know, let's have you be a nice yellow. Actually, let's have you be a nice red. Let's see red. What does red look like? Scale you out. Where are you? You are right up there. Okay, cool. So you are right there. Let's position you up there and over this way. And let's rotate you, because I see a couple of things splattering like that. Boop-a-da-boop, boop. There we go. While I'm at it, let's change your opacity. You can be a little bit brighter. Same with you. You can be a little bit, not brighter, a little less opaque. There we go. And while I'm at it, now this last guy, let's position you. Boop-a-da-boop, boop. Rotate you. And, you know, maybe rotate you like that. Position you some more. Change your positioning around. And let's change you to, let's just change you to blue. I like you being blue. There we go. So now if I have this like that, I've got my dots coming in. Ink splatter, then the ink splatters pop in like that. And it looks quite nice, those little ink splatters. Bloop, 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 bloop. And because they overlay, they kind of change their hues a little bit as they overlap each other. Like the red and the green make yellow because that's just how computer colors work. And colors of film and colors of stage theater, where the primary colors are red, green, blue, not red, yellow, blue. And of course, if I actually have the printer visible now, let's see how this looks with the printer. And that actually looks quite nice like that. So there we go, and I will lock these guys in place. And how am I doing on time? Can I get myself the text in? Yeah, let's go on and get the text in. Let's get the text in this video. So we got ourselves our all of that stuff happening. And so we've got additional text of fax, copy, scan, and print. Align all those layers in a straight line. And we need to create a big text model number. Okay, cool. And what was the model number? The model number was the TK421. Okay, cool. So you know what I'm going to do here? I'm just going to, thankfully I've got nothing selected because everything is locked. So I can just go and make some text. And this text is going to say scan. Then I'm going to make another layer by clicking outside of it. I'm going to say fax. And I'm going to do another layer and I'm going to say, what was it? It was scan, copy, fax, print. Scan, copy, copy, and print. And print. Okay, cool. So, what I can do here, and of course I have the big giant text that says, you know, the TK421. Make another text layer, TK421. There we go. So I've got all my text layers right here. And while I'm at my text layer, let me just go and make this guy, you're going to be the size 150. That might be too big. Let's make you size 100. There we go. That seems a bit more realistic. So you're the size 100. There we go. And yeah. So scan. So there we go. We know that we're going to end up somewhere in about this spot for that. Well, let me move scan, copy, so on and so forth. Now, I can, if I really want to, go into position And I can go and change these guys' position to be, left one is X, so it's going to be left and right. Top one is up and down, that's the Y position. So let me just go and say scan, print, copy, fax, or whatever order we feel like being in. You, sir, will wind up being, since I have you currently at the highest in the timeline, you will be right there. And that is going to be at 360. Why not? Oop, not 3609, 360. There we go. You're at 360 in height. So you are also going to be at 360 in height. And you are also going to be at 360 in height. And you are also going to be at 360 in height. And I'm going to move you guys over. I'm going to move your guys' X values around a bit, just so that I get myself, there we go. And let's see how that would look like once the thing pops in. Okay, so maybe I want you guys at about 400. Oops, the other way around. I want you guys, let's go with 300. How do you look at 300? Okay, 300 is what I'm going to go with. 300, 300, 300, and 300. So this guy, and let me move the TK, let me just move position, move you over here as well. We know that this is going to be our ending position. This is where this thing's going to end. Boop, 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 boop. Actually, let me select all of these guys. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Let me select all these guys, because I just realized. Beep, 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 beep. I just realized I had this whole area to the left here that I wasn't using. So, there we go, back to like 355. That looks a bit more in line with where the actual thing would be in the video. Okay, cool. So, that's going to be our ending spot. And we know that that's where everything's going to pop in. So let's just go and make a keyframe somewhere. But you know what? I'm going to not do that. I'm going to first do a pre-composition. So let me just go and make all of this pre-comped. Pre-composition, boom. I'm going to label this guy. Actually, do I want to pre-comp only the print, fax, copy, scan though? Because I'm going to have an opacity effect on these guys, essentially, or a screen. Essentially, I'm going to have like either an overlay of some sort or a screen. So a blending mode or an overlay. Let's see what overlay. It's going to be an overlay, isn't it? Okay, cool. So, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually take print, copy, fax, and scan. I'm going to make those guys into a pre-composition. I'm going to label this my text comp. There we go. Boom. So now anything that I change about my pre-composition, it'll just be in my, it'll be there and save up some space over here. So in my text composition, boom, there we go. I know that this is my composition. And it's going to take probably, what, a second for this to slide in. Okay, well in that case then I will just go and say, at about a second, I'm going to move these positions, and I'm going to keyframe them. Boom, there we go. And I will move that. I will move these guys. It'll probably take about half a second. So, now then, smudge you over. Smudge you in a bit. Smudge you in a bit. And smudge you there. So now, I look at this, and there it goes. It fans out like that. Those are the layers. Whoop, that's the animation they do. And I have that set for about 1 second in to do that animation. Now let's just go and change the colors. So we'll make you, I don't know, we'll make you a nice bright red. We'll make you, I don't know, we'll make you a nice blue. We will make a nice green, why not? And we will make a nice purple, just because I love purple. So there we go. Now if I go back to my main composition here, there that is, the print, copy, fax, whatever, and there it is doing its little thing, splatter, splatter, splatter. And if I also, at the same time, go into my blending mode, which is not right there, it's right here, and I go and say, I want you guys to be a overlay. There we go. It can do an overlay, and scan kind of gets hidden away. So let me go back in and let me change scan. Maybe scan should be red. Maybe print should be purple. Let's go back to the main comp and see how it looks like. Okay, so let's go into maybe so. Maybe. Let me undo. Maybe if I go back into my ink splatter here and instead go and say, well, which one are you? Which one are you? Nope, not you. Ink splatter, ink splatter, ink splatter. Okay, you're that ink splatter. Maybe if I go into this ink splatter, go into its effects, and I change you to a lighter color. And change your opacity a little bit less. There we go. Okay, the word scan's actually kind of popping in now. There we go. And it looks a little bit better there. Okay, cool. So I lost my green splatter, but that's okay. So that's kind of what it looks like right there. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, cool. So I've got myself readable-ish font. And, whoops, did not mean to hit that. I hit the semicolon by accident, in case you didn't see that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to parent this and this, my TK421 and my text composition. I'm going to parent it to a null object. What is a null object? A null object is an object that does not exist. It's just there for placement. It will never be seen. So it's an invisible object. So layer new null object. And there's my null object, and I'm just going to parent TK to that. And I'm going to parent the text comp to that. So now what I can do is, once I figure out where I'm going to put stuff, so maybe right about there-ish. So I'm going to position. Actually, let me just go position and rotation. So position and rotation. And I'm going to say it's going to take probably about, you know what, let's go and say 1 second from here. So we're at 1:10, so at 8:10, this is where those guys will be. Boom. Move this over to back to 7:10. And at 7:10, this rotation is going to be like that. Because it's going to swing in, and the position is going to be off the screen. The position is going to be off the screen. Boom, like that. So now what we can see is when this thing moves in, it'll slide in like that. Now, here's our slight issue, though, is that the animation has already played before I actually did anything. So let me go and move my pre-comp, boop, 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 so it lines up with that. And same thing, might as well just make the text start existing right when it lines up with that. There we go. So now, boom, it fans out right when it lands. And of course, as always, let me go and make sure that I have done keyframe assistant, ease. Let me make sure that I have, you know, motion blur, motion blur, motion blur. You know, while I'm at it, let me make sure that everything I've done here has been motion blurred. Keyframe assistant, ease, motion blur. I go to my text composition, make sure, go back into this, keyframe assistant, ease. Make sure I motion blur everything, motion blur. That was motion blurred. Have these guys been motion blurred? You guys have not been motion blurred. So let's go to transform. Well, the scale was not motion blurred, but the scale is Scale is non-existent because we don't even see the scale because it's been masked out. Okay, printer, you guys have been motion blurred. Transform, yes you have. Okay, cool. So right now, in my main composition, now that everything is connected to each other, let's take a look at how this looks. Boop, 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 boop. Printing perfected. Boop, 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 splash, splash, print pages. Boom. And there's your 10-second ad. Now, obviously, I probably could have sped up the animation of these dots. It's like half the animation is just those dots. So I probably should have done that in a shorter interval, but basically, it's a workable thing. It's got sequencing, it's got pre-compositions, it has masks, it has parenting, it has a custom mask, it has a lot of pre-comps, actually, now that I think about it. But there's a lot of stuff going on here with effects and everything, all for this 10-second animation. And that's how it generally winds up going. Now, they did a little snappier over here with boop-a-boop-boop, snap it over, boom, splash, made it bounce a bit. It prints out faster. That thing jumps into place and bounces, and then it just, you can actually read the text a bit faster. So, you know, maybe I should, maybe, you know, if this is where you would just be doing little tiny edits. Like, you know, maybe I decided that, you know, these guys should probably squeeze over a bit more. You know, maybe they should squeeze over a bit more so that now, when it pops over, you have more time to read the font instead of 3 seconds. And maybe that's a little bit better. You know, maybe you want to go even further. Boop-a-boop, boop. Stretch it over there. And now, when we play, and there we go. So we can do something like that. And, you know, save it. You know, if you want to make the font bigger, you want to make the font cursive, you want to do whatever, change the colors, it's all up to you. This is just one possible way to do this. So there's that. Now, as always, save, and then once you've got everything set up, lock all your layers just to be on the safe side, save again, go to the render queue, so, you know, right-click, and okay, fine, I'll just go to render, export, it's under export, add to render queue, and I'll export it, where am I saving it to, so on and so forth, hit render, and it's going to go and go through all the possible things that are happening, boop, 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 and there we go. Here's a little ding, we're nice and ready to go. At the same time, if you're saving in the file a version of After Effects later than mine, please make sure to save as, and save as a copy, and you can save it as a previous version, like I've got 16x, I got 17x. This version is 18x, so if you can save as an 18x, I can also see everything on your After Effects file as well. So, there we go. And I'll have to update that in the comments section when I have a newer computer that will run a more recent version of this program. But yeah, that's how you wind up doing something like this. So hopefully that helped you out. And the other homework assignment is basically, hey, make up a product of your own and do some of the effects that you've seen in these past videos to make up your own little animation. Whatever type of animation you feel like. So I can't generally tell you what product you can make. That one's up to you. But hopefully this helped you out with all the different techniques that are needed in these assignments. So thank you very much. You guys have a great day.